Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers win game 1, 4-1 against the Washington Capitals. This is a very good first game. Look, the Rangers are clearly the better team than Washington. But, as I had said in the preview, it's not going to be an easy series. They usually aren't, even in the best of scenarios. And this is definitely a very advantageous spot for the Rangers. But a lot of encouraging things that went on in this game. And the first thing that comes to mind is the fourth line scoring 2 goals. And you can't make it up. Matt Rempe scores the first goal for the Rangers in this 2024 playoffs. Like you couldn't make that up if you tried. So in his first playoff game, he scores a goal. He actually took a penalty very early on as well. So he is just a fan favorite. And, in these home games especially, it really seems to have an extra effect. But Rempe is the first Ranger since Matt Gilroy in 2011, which is also against the Capitals, to score in his first playoff game. But yeah, the Rangers, it was kind of the first period, it was a little bit choppy. There was a lot of penalties called on both sides. And, I think that in some of the other games, it felt like they were maybe letting some more things go. This game, not so much. And, neither team could cash in on their opportunities on the power play. And that Ranger penalty kill just continues to be magnificent. Really, really good. It totally shut down Washington. In fact, Alex Ovechkin, 0 shots on goal this game. Only maybe third or fourth time that he's done that in the playoffs in his career. And we're talking close to 150 playoff games. But the Rangers scored 3 goals in 2 minutes and 6 seconds. And that was the most goals within that short of a span in the playoffs since, I believe, 1996 against the Montreal Canadiens, where they had scored, I think, 3 goals in 1 minute and 2 seconds. This was 3 in 2 minutes and 6. And, it's just good to see the Rangers getting that depth scoring. That's going to be very important if they're going to want to do well in the playoffs. And it has me thinking, a few things come to mind here before we get into, more of the particulars from the game. Last year, in the 7-game series loss to the Devils, I thought the Rangers' fourth line was really bad. Now, on paper, it should have been good. And in fact, on paper, it's not that dissimilar to this current fourth line. So it was Barclay Goodrow centering Vesey and Mott. Only difference here is obviously it's Rempe for Mott. And obviously their games are very different, but you have 2/3 of the same line. And I mean, Rempe's going to get the least amount of ice time amongst the three. And I thought that was a really, really big negative. Was that line provided basically next to nothing and was kind of a detriment defensively as well. So credit where it's due. Obviously, the Rempe story kind of goes without saying. But Barclay Goodrow, who had 2 assists in this game, he has been better lately. And I know, look, I'm not the biggest fan of his, but if you do take the cap hit aside, take the contract away, he has been more effective lately. I got to be fair here. And it was a really, really rough season for Goodrow. And it's, look, he's going to be on the decline. There's no doubt about it. And because the fact of the matter is this, like, his first year as a Ranger, he was very well liked among the fans. I mean, even though people, even at the time, did not love the contract. You don't really give someone like that a 6-year deal worth upwards of $3.5 million and more per season. But, when he got hurt in game 1 versus the Penguins in the playoffs, like, that was a pretty big loss. And, it was nice to get him back towards the end of that Carolina series in round 2. So there's that part of it. Another thing that comes to mind is this. The Rangers need to continue to keep their foot on the gas. It reminds me of a couple of series, one more than the other, but we'll discuss both. And in both instances, the Rangers were the 1 seed. So more so 2012, I'll say, where the Rangers had a very nice game 1 win against Ottawa. I think the final score it was either 4-0 Rangers or maybe 4-1. But then game 2, Ottawa is able to kind of grit out a overtime win. against the Rangers, and that was a game which I want to say Chris Neal might have gotten the game-winning goal, or he had a big goal. It was either the tying goal, but it might have been the OT winner. And that became a 7-game series. And that was that was tough. The Rangers faced elimination in game 6. Like, that wasn't easy. I don't think it'll be like that, but that comes to mind a little bit. So you got it. My point is, winning game 2 is still, of utmost importance. And then to a lesser degree, 2015 against the Penguins. Now, that ended up being a 5-game series win, which is right now, that is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that the Rangers can win this in 5. Now, that was another situation. They won game 1, but then they lost game 2 at home. So take care of business in Madison Square Garden, go up 2-0, and then look, like, if you split 2 in Washington at that point, like, you got to understand that sweeping, it can be done. It can be done. I mean, let's think about it. Like, the Rangers have swept and have been swept, over, in history, of course, and not too long ago either, when I think about certain series. So, of course, it can be done, but just trying to be realistic here. Washington's going to come out strong and desperate in game 2. But if the Rangers, the thing is, they don't even really have to play their best game to beat Washington. That's kind of the disparity. And Charlie Lindgren, he had his struggles. I mean, look, goals 2 and 3 were not great. And it's a young Cap team mixed in with a lot of just older veterans that, have kind of seen their better days as well. So look, like, this was further made apparent by looking at game 1. The Rangers are the better team, and you do kind of want to get a little greedy. And what I mean by that is, trying to win this if you can in about 5 games. That will set you up so much better moving forward. But let's keep it in the context of game 1. I just wanted to make it a point that, hey, even though it feels really good right now, and you got to like where you are in the series, I have seen, we've all seen this Ranger team before. This is a different, totally different team, but where they kind of they make it a little more interesting than you want to. And we see here that the Rangers are absolutely capable of really putting this Capital team to bed sooner than later, but we'll take it game by game. So the lineup was the same as it had been the last couple of games of the season. So still no Filipino. And look, there's no rush. We'll see him at some point, barring a setback. We'll see him, but there's no real reason to get him in there right now. And then, no Johnny Brodzinski. So, and Rempe is providing a lot right now. I don't think he's going to play every game. I just don't. And I'm okay with that. But at this point, it would appear to be a better than 50-50 chance that Rempe will be in the lineup. And based on how he played today, they're not taking him out anytime soon. And I like that the defensive pairs are what they've been the last, 5 or so games? Maybe even a little bit less than that, probably. Where you have, of course, Lindgren Fox, but Miller with Schneider and Gus Asimatruba. I would continue to do not move away from that. If those are going to be your 6 defensemen in the lineup, those should be pairs. So for the Caps, still no Rasmus Sandin and Nick Jensen, which are, those are key defensemen for the Capitals. So they're still out. So Iorio, to make matters worse for the Caps, before the second goal, Alexis Lafreniere with a really, really nice hit on Iorio, the defenseman. And I should get his first name. I believe, Vincent Iorio. He gets hurt. It looked like maybe a shoulder injury. So I don't know if we're going to see him next game. Sandin and or Jensen may not be far away, but it's just a bad situation. Like, you have Dylan McElrath, the former Ranger. He's very much in that lineup. And you know what? To be fair to him, he's actually kind of been okay. He's played, they don't trust him to the point where, if you look at the Capitals' minutes on defense, it is all. John Carlson for the most part, but also Faravari, Van Riemsdyk, and Alexiev. Like, that is, they are going to really, really use them and for all it's worth. But let's discuss this one. First period, and it's kind of been what it's been for the Rangers. Now, a lot of penalties happen, but hey, the worst period for the Rangers today was definitely the first. And you'd like for the Rangers to get it to a little bit of a better start. It's just not, it hasn't been their game all year. The Rangers tend to get better as the game goes on. And look, you'd prefer it that than the other way around. But at 2:07, Matt Rempe is called for charging Beck Malenstein. And so at that point, and look, that wasn't a call that needed to be made. I'll say that right now. It didn't have to be. It didn't. But in that moment, I'm thinking, damn, like, you know, with Rempe, it's like, fuck. You don't want him taking penalties. It's not totally his fault as well. Like, it's not that, but like, hey, for better or worse, like the refs, they have their eye on him. They do. And so that does lead to maybe penalties that shouldn't be called or however you want to say it. But either way, Rangers kill it off and look good doing so. This penalty kill, it's not only the stats that back it up. I mean, they're getting offensive chances. They've been really, really superb. At 5:14, Alexeyev holds Will Cooley, but the Rangers power play does not score. Now, the Rangers only had a couple of power plays. Good zone time, I'd say, in both instances, but couldn't break through. Then at 8:32, Vincent Trocheck's called for slashing Hendrix Lapierre. Luckily, though, Max Pastretter retaliates and is called for cross-checking on a scrum that happened towards the Rangers bench. I believe he had cross-checked Adam Fox. Not 100% sure on that, but it turns into 4-on-4. No goals come of that. Then at 13:42, Tom Wilson's called for interference against Vincent Trocheck. And it's just a reminder with Tom Wilson that he really loves to just push it, you know, and not so much in this case, but like other instances we'll talk about later where it's like he is going to really, you know, and he'll go, you know, he will definitely go over the line to, you know, to potentially hurt someone. And you got to watch out for that because he has a reputation. And it's just a reminder when you watch it, it reminds you because look, the Rangers haven't played the Caps in a while, and certainly they haven't played them in really big time games as they had in the past. But yeah, he, you know, after the whistle, he'll get in there. He will. But the Rangers don't score on this power play. And then Will Cooley is called for holding Hendrix Lapierre at 17:14. So Cooley draws one, but then also takes one. So I thought most Rangers played pretty well. Will Cooley, maybe not the best game, but hey, it was his first playoff game. So there might have been a little bit of nerves there. I'll say this about that third line. Very good. They may not score goals. And I'm talking about the Wenberg line centering Cooley and Kakko. And Kakko did at one point in this game, he hit one off the post. It's too bad. It was a little bit of a 2-on-1 and he hits the post. At this point, the Rangers were up in the second period, I think it was. But, you know, just good puck possession for that line, which is helpful if nothing else. If they're not going to score, they're at least able to have the puck in the other team's zone, wear them down. Again, the bottom six did a very good job in this game. Really, really did. But let's go to the second period. And look, the first period was a low event period, which it was a good Capital Road period. The Rangers were up shots were 7-4 Rangers. But for Washington, they kind of did what they had to do. Second period was a different story. And it happened pretty immediately. So at 4:17, Matt Rempe scores from Vesey and Goodrow. And hey, Rempe is the one that kind of helps get it into the zone, gives it to Goodrow. He wraps around the boards, and eventually they kind of get to work. Goodrow drops it off for Vesey, who kind of it was a nice pass by Vesey, who just kind of put it where it needed to be. And luckily, Rempe saw it happen. Because Rempe he was behind the net, but then he comes back to the front, leaves Tom. I think it was Tom Wilson that was kind of on him, and Rempe buries it. So, and then the crowd goes crazy as you'd expect. Like the Rempe story is maybe only beginning. It's really crazy. And so the Rangers take a 1-0 lead, and then 33 seconds later, with maybe Charlie Lindgren a little bit still flustered after that goal, Panarin scores his. I mean, and these are all going to be firsts of the playoffs at this early on. But Panarin from Trocheck and Lafreniere. This starts with a great hit, as I said earlier, by Lafreniere on Iorio. Clean hit, and Lafreniere was all over the ice, showing that physicality. It was very reminiscent, and it's part of Lafreniere's game, but to the first game of the playoffs against the Penguins a couple years ago, where he just came out ready to go. And if he can do that, that's going to be huge. So it sets up a little bit of a 2-on-1, and it wasn't a good goal by Charlie Lindgren. It was not at all. That's a puck he should stop, but hopefully gets Panarin a little boost of confidence in terms of the playoffs. Because look, like, it's been a struggle for him, certainly since he's been a Ranger. So hopefully that is the right way to start. Then at 6:23, they score again. So this is off of a face-off win. A nice job by Barclay Goodrow, who and he was taught this. I believe it was probably Michael Pekka, but maybe just, I'll give credit to the coaching staff at large, but probably Pekka, where they've taught these guys to kind of use the kind of reverse side of their stick. So Goodrow was he was on the right side, kind of acting as if he's a righty. Now Goodrow's a lefty, but he's able to get the puck back to Vesey, and Vesey just takes a shot that deflects probably off a capital stick and in. But it's still one that Lindgren, I think, should have stopped. But also Matt Rempe was involved in this, where I believe it was Malenstein who was trying to sort of go to Vesey. And there was nothing dirty about it. I mean, Rempe's a big guy. Malenstein went into him, and like Rempe just being a positive impact. And Vesey, goal and an assist. Goodrow with 2 assists. Rangers make it 3-0. Quick response, though, from the Caps. At 7:31, so a little over a minute after the Vesey goal, Faravari scores from Wilson and Protas. So, and Igor was fine, but he wasn't tested much in this game, to be honest with you. Only 21 shots on goal in the whole game for the Caps. So Igor was good. He does give up a goal here on a play where Faravari beats Zibanejad. And it was a nice pass by, I believe, Wilson. And Faravari just puts it into the open net, makes the score 3-1. Then at 9:20, Lafreniere's called for slashing Connor McMichael. Rangers kill it off. And the score would remain 3-1 going to the third period. And early in the third, at 1:57, another penalty by Trocheck. He's got to reel that in a little bit. Trocheck trips Van Riemsdyk. But the Rangers, again, penalty kill does the job. They go 4 for 4 on their kills. And I thought it was a really good third period for the Rangers. Did they get that many high-quality chances? No, but the Caps were doing next to nothing, basically all period long. And then eventually, the Zibanejad line scores a goal, and it was Chris Kreider that gets it from Zibanejad and Roslovic. So a nice pass by Zibanejad to spring free and open Kreider, uses his speed and makes a nice backhand past Lindgren. So Kreider's playoff goal scoring continues. And so the Rangers take a 4-1 lead. So it never even got to the point for the Caps. It probably was getting there to the point where they were going to consider pulling the goalie, but Spencer Carberry was not able to do so. Rangers take a 4-1 lead. Then there was some extracurricular activity with a minute left. You get misconducts from Schneider, Wilson, and McElrath. And look, you're going to see stuff like that in the playoffs, but Rangers win 4-1. And the 3 stars of the game, which I don't always agree with them, but in this case, I do. Maybe not so much with the order, but in my mind, it was the 4th line that deserved it, and that's exactly what it was. 1st star Vesey, 2nd star Goodrow, 3rd star Rempe. So, yeah, Rangers with a really, really good first game of this series takes a 1-0 lead, further, instilling, what this is, which is a 1 versus 8 situation. And gotta just stick with it and take that 2-0 lead. That's the blueprint here. Take a 2-0 lead, go to Washington, and take a game there. Again, for me, it's about getting back to Madison Square Garden up 3-1 for Game 5. You're on your way there. But I think what was a couple of things. Washington is much better at home than they are on the road. And they're a different team when coming from behind, especially from a multi-goal deficit from behind. Like, that's just not their game. So the best chance Washington will ever have is playing with a lead. And then they can use their defensive system to the best of their abilities. But when they go down 1-0, especially 2-0, Rangers are in a really, really good position at that point because the Caps just don't quite have the offense to make that comeback. So, yeah, all good things in Game 1. Kudos to the 4th line for providing an extra spark that the Rangers will definitely need if they're to go on a long run in these 2024 Stanley Cup playoffs. But Game 1 goes to the Rangers. They beat the Capitals 4-1.